is the main satellite. The main satellite. You motherfuckers hear that? The main satellite. Now, the creators or the directors, or David Jaffe, I think he passed it off to some other person to lead it, to head the project up, would probably say, well, we wanted to go in a different direction. But that's the protagonist of the story. So different direction be damned, that's still your protagonist. Why have all these aesthetic changes been made? And they're very marked changes. He is a white man. If you haven't played the games before, he's called the Ghost of Sparta. And he's called that for a specific set of reasons, which I won't go into. But there are things, there's sort of an ash, I'll say, that's laid over his skin. But the first set of games, the first trio, and then the other games, Chains of Olympus and everything in that, you had a chance to see him in cutscenes, and he was black. He had dark skin. He was a black man.
Yeah.
Not only that, but he wasn't the only black character in the game, black or brown, you know. So even with the ash laid over him, it was still very obvious, as we've been speaking about, aesthetics. He is a black man. This game, they did a complete turnaround. As you said, through the ash, you can see the color of this Nordic skin, along with these Nordic eyes, this Nordic beard. The whole facial structure had been altered, very obviously so, and that was intentional.
Yeah, very intentional and disheartening for us and for a lot of other people. So there's nothing wrong with having a main character of a game be a white man or a white woman or whatever, but it's just
that's all we've ever seen.
That's all we see.
That's all we've ever seen.
When we got the chance to experience someone as cool and as badass as Kratos, it gave you a sense of pride. It made it a little bit more exciting. But even if he started out as a white man, you know, if he looked like he looks now, the game still would have been great. But the fact that they gave us this brown character and snatched it away from us, it just felt wrong.
It is very disheartening, and it's very upsetting. I mean, those games took off. That game took the fuck off. And for the first time that I can recall ever in any action adventure game, the character's color was noticed. When everything you see is white, magazines, movies, television shows, comic books, novels, commercials, when everything you see is white, then color is not noticed because that's the default. When you see something that is not the default and a character looks like you, and not only is the character, as you said, brother, not only is the character badass, but the character is also three-dimensional. The character is deeply fucking flawed. You can project yourself onto this character with skin like ours. The game still sold like gangbusters. It was that good, that great. So white patrons or people who bought the game weren't put off by the character's color, but it meant something to us. No more, any more than we were put off by Simon Belmont's color or Mario's color, any of those things. A good game is a good game. A great game is a great game, and these games are fucking great. At least the first ones before this, I'll call it transition, you know?
Yeah.
They weren't put off. Those games sold like hotcakes.
So what was the motivation for changing that? Like, why did you feel like you needed to change his physical appearance in that way? They had a new guy voicing Kratos, and it's another black man. What's his name? Christopher Judge from Stargate. He voiced the new Kratos, and he's a black man. But Kratos' physical appearance does not resemble Christopher Judge's appearance at all. Tell them about how T.C. Carson learned of the new God of War game.
From what I've seen, he received a call from, I believe it was an associate or a friend, who said to him, "Oh, congrats on this. You're moving into the future with Kratos. It's on a new system. It's a new generation. You're moving into the future. You're doing awesome." And he was unaware of a new God of War game, from what I understand. Later, if I'm not much mistaken, he spoke with either the creator or the person who was heading the project up who said to him in so many words, we decided to take it in a new direction. Yeah. So he didn't know that he had been dropped as Kratos. Like dropped like a sack of potatoes, like a pair of flat titties, you know. He was dropped. He didn't know it. But he wished the new guy well, Christopher Judge well. From what I understand, from what I've seen him say with his own mouth, his own words, that was hurtful to him.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't it be?
Right.
They go with another black guy, which is good, another black man, but the character is obviously white. And also another thing too, I just thought of, Greek mythology included characters of all races. Mostly white, but there were a lot of us in there, and brown and black people in. Not only did they cast another black man, but had him portray an obviously physically, aesthetically white character, but they moved the mythology, they moved the setting for the games into a Nordic setting.
Yeah.
Which means, well, we know what it means.
Yeah. Them moving him into a Nordic setting, that's okay. That would have been okay. But why change his appearance? Like, it's the same guy. Like, why? That's like us moving to Asia, Greenland
or Asia or someplace. Yeah.
And our physical appearance changes because we moved over there. That doesn't happen. I wish they hadn't done that.
The millions of dollars they were putting into this game's design of the game, the score, the look, the graphics. One thing I can say, one thing you and I both know, this was very, very, very intentional. And they worked on it for a very long time. I'm sure for years. So the entire time working with a black man who was voicing the character, they had a chance to turn back. But it was an active decision made over and over again not to turn back. Oh, we're gonna stay the course. This is what it is we want to do.
Shit, they even used Christopher Judge in motion capture, but they didn't use any of his physical characteristics.
Oh, wow.
A new character was introduced, and it's Kratos' son. What do you think about his son?
It's bad enough that the character was, I mean, this is a popular word now, but whitewashed. But even though you can see his skin color through the ashes, you could pretend if you were a diehard, follower fan like you and I had been for years up to that point. But just in case you doubt that this is a white man beneath these ashes, the son is lily white.
Yeah.
I'm talking about aesthetically. I'm talking about everything aesthetically, period. Everything from the shape of his face to his lips, his eyes, his hair, and his skin is about as pasty as he can get, as they could make it, and have him still be a white character. So just in case you were thinking, I'll pretend that it's still my Kratos beneath the ashes, even though the face is completely different, even though the voice is completely different, even though it's obviously a white man, I can pretend. They tried out this kid, and the kid is the direct descendant. He is the son of the main character, and he's about as white as he can be.
Biologically, his
son.
But they didn't want anyone to get it twisted. They didn't want you to mistake Kratos for being black or brown at all. Like, this is Kratos. Kratos is a white man now. They didn't want anybody to get that twisted.
They didn't even want the kid to be off color or to appear mixed of mixed heritage. He had to come out with the straight hair, reddish, I believe.
Yeah.
Which black people can have, black and brown, you know what I'm saying, but reddish hair, lighter eyes, the pastiest of motherfucking skin. Just enough on this side of human that you knew he was a Caucasian, a product of a union, sexual tryst, or union between two white people. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's also extremely obvious. If they wanted to toe the line, or they wanted to, what's the word I'm looking for? They wanted to straddle the line. They could have had the character recast the voice rather, recast, had the character still be black aesthetically, but had Kratos get together with a Nordic woman since they wanted to, since that was the setting of the new game. So the character could have been, it could have appeased. Well, we know what they give them. They didn't give a fuck about appeasing.
Nah.
But if they had been smart, they could have kept audiences of all sorts, shapes, sizes, colors. They could have had this black or brown character mate with a Nordic woman and have the kid come out to be Cafe Leia, whatever the fuck you might want to call it.
Yeah.
But they couldn't even do that.
Nah, they couldn't even do that.
How did that hit you when you saw him and all the previews and promos that were out before the game was out? How did that hit you, man, when you saw that?
It was a punch to the gut.